Hi guys, welcome to the next video of our hand freeing technique video mini-series. To give you a short reminder, the hand freeing technique we are talking about is this. I put the foot to the front, lift my hand, and then I apply a hand strike, palm strike, move my elbow over his arm, cut to the throat, grab the wrist and pull, apply a backhand strike, and 3 modified chain punches. Again, and again. Okay, this is actually the hand freeing technique we are talking about. So, in the last videos I explained about protection of the lower area and the upper area, about a little bit of distance, protection comes first. Next video was about the palm strike, that we don't try to free our hands in the first place, but that we try to attack immediately. So now comes the next attack, which is the elbow strike, which is called Kwai Jarn, the diagonal elbow. It originates from the Biu Tze, the third form of the Wing Chun system. And with this elbow, we free ourselves from his grip. Okay, let's show them, Marc. So he grabs my wrist and I apply a palm strike. So now I lift the elbow of my fixed arm so that the elbow is higher than his arm. Okay, and if I move my elbow over his arm, you see he gets some sort of wrist lock here in this area. Yeah, so if I grab his hand like this and I move down, you see he has to lower his whole body because I apply a wrist lock to his wrist. Okay, what is a lock? Yeah, you see the whole arm can bend like this, and he can straighten the arm like this. So if I try to straighten it more, yeah, I bring pressure to the elbow, and this causes pain. And because of the pain, he lifts on the tip of his toes to relieve himself from the pain. So there are several locking techniques in, for example, Aikido, Jiu-Jitsu, and so on, like wrist locks, yeah, elbow locks, yeah, and stuff like this, yes, straight arm lock, and whatsoever. Wing Chun is not applying locking techniques for the purpose of doing wrist locks, for example, but we use locking motions to free ourselves from, for example, a grip, or bring the weapons of his body out of our reach. Yeah, and normally we don't do locks. We try to destroy the joints. That's the purpose we are following. So that means if he grabs my wrist, I don't want to do a wrist lock, okay, in the first place, but the elbow is used to attack him. So how are we doing this? So you see, I have a special distance to my opponent, and now it's some kind of medium distance. But if I move closer and I lift my elbow, the first purpose of my attack was to attack, for example, the temple or the jaw, or here the collarbone. Yeah, if I'm in a short distance and he grabs like this, yeah, I can grab and attack the collarbone, or I can attack the temple. So that means that I don't want to free myself from the wrist grab. I want to attack again, yeah, like I did with the palm strike. So first action is always an attack, and the next action is also an attack. And the hand freeing, the freeing of this grip is a byproduct. Yeah, which is nice for me, but it's not really necessary. and I try to attack, and if he's in a medium distance like this, then I can't attack his temple jaw or collarbone or whatsoever, and the hand is freed. So it's some sort of byproduct. Yeah? The movement I use originates from the Biu Tze again, and you see I pull the elbow up, I raise my arm, yeah, and the elbow is cut in a diagonal line from the upper right side to the lower left. Okay, and this is Kwai Jarn, the diagonal elbow, yeah, where I cut on a diagonal line from the upper right to the lower left area, yeah, like this, up, and I cut down. Okay, if I do this, I position my hand under the armpit, which I will deal with in the next video. But you see, I use an elbow strike to my opponent and free myself from his grip due to some sort of wrist lock movement. My arm has 3 joints, okay, the wrist, the elbow and the shoulder. And my fist is positioned at my wrist and has several weapons. So I prefer always to use the long range weapon, which is, for example, a punch or the edge of my hand, Faxau, Biu Faxau, Chansau. That's a good distance for me. But if he grabs my wrist, now the weapon which is attached to my wrist is blocked, okay? And I have to move to the next joint of my arm, which is the elbow. So I can't, halt mal schön fest, I can't use the weapons of my hand, and I use now the next joint in this chain, which is my elbow. Okay, so blocked, and now it's free, and I can attack again with my preferred weapon, which is attached to my wrist. Okay, it's blocked, it's fixed. I use the next weapon and then attack with a backhand strike or whatever, because I can. Okay, so that's also very important, that you always think about the joints of your arm as weapons, and you always prefer to use the long range weapon so that you don't come too close to your opponent. Okay. Also important is that if you take a closer look at this technique, I'm standing in front of my opponent. So if he moves the arms up, you see I'm standing right in front of his weapons, and that's always bad. Yeah, mach mal Deckung. So if I move to the front in the direction of my opponent, straight forward, I run directly into his weapons. Okay, therefore in Wing Chun we always prefer to go offline and to attack from the side. Yeah, like so-called flank strategy, where I come from the side and attack my opponent from the side. So grab my wrist. So if I do a palm strike and I attack with the elbow, I can do a small step to the side. Yeah, and now I'm on the side of my opponent, which is a good way to move out of the line of his attacks. Yeah, so a small step brings me to the side, and I can now attack from the side. And this actually is always the case in the wooden dummy form, where you can also see that the weapons are pointing in the forward direction, and I'm always trying to attack from the side. Okay, and this method I also use in the hand freeing technique, where I go to the side, okay, and attack from the side. Okay, that's it for this video, and these are the things you have to think about while applying Kwai Jarn to free your hand from his grip. You attack and you don't try to free yourself. That's not the main purpose. Main purpose is to attack. So guys, what are the topics you have to remember from this video? First, shorten the distance. Instead of moving away from our opponent, we go where it is useful into the opponent for better transfer of power. Use hip and upper body rotation while applying elbows. Second, Kwai Jarn. Jarn means elbow in Wing Chun. Kwai Jarn, this is the so-called diagonal elbow from set 4 of 5 of the Biu Tze, is primarily used for attacks. So in this video you saw Kwai Jarn is used for the hand release, but first of all we try to attack our opponent, and the release of the opponent's grip is only a positive side effect, but it's not the primary goal of this special kind of elbow attack. Locking techniques, these are called kamna, are used to isolate the enemy's weapons for a brief moment. So the enemy's weapons like legs, fists, arms and so on, they are isolated. And another effect of using locking techniques is that you destroy the center line of the opponent. Fourth, damage of the joints caused by locking them is a positive side effect while isolating the opponent. So we don't want to damage the joints of the opponent in the first place, but it's a positive side effect while we isolate him and destroy his center line. We use the so-called chain of joints. If you take a look at your arm, you see the wrist, the elbow and the shoulder. So this is a chain of joints, and we prefer long-range weapons. But if the hand as a preferred weapon is blocked by the opponent, we switch to the next free joint. And in this case, it's the elbow. Yeah, the next joint in the chain is our elbow, so he grips our hand and we attack with the elbow. So these are the topics you have learned while watching this video. If you want to learn much more about Wing Chun, visit my webshop under wingchun-elsner.shop. And there you might be interested in the video series about the fighting distances of Wing Chun. You might be interested in the video series about the Biu Tze, the third form of the Wing Chun system, where I explain the complete form. And there you will also learn about Kwai Jarn in set 4 of 5. You might be also interested in the video series about Latzao, about hand freeing and locking techniques like kamna. And you might be interested in the video series about the second Chamkyu Chisao section, which deals with locking and anti-locking techniques. So guys, that's it from my side. If you liked it so far, please subscribe my channel, give me a thumbs up, and see you in the next video. Bye.